Harvest begins long before we gather the fruit. It begins the first time we choose to plant with hope. Welcome home. I'm so glad you're here. Before we begin today, take one slow breath and look around wherever you are. Notice something familiar. Maybe it's the chair where you enjoy your morning coffee, a favorite book resting nearby, a well-loved blanket, fresh flowers on the table. These ordinary things quietly remind us that home is built one day at a time. And today, I'd like to invite you to notice something else. Not what still needs to grow, but what has already begun to flourish. We think we can become so focused on what comes next that we forget to celebrate what's already here. There's always another goal, another project, another thing we'd like to improve, another place we'd like to reach. And I understand that. I love growing. I love learning. I love wondering what might be possible next. But gardeners understand something that I think the rest of us sometimes forget. Harvest isn't only about picking the tomatoes. It's also about remembering the months of watering, the early mornings, the patient waiting, those first little signs of growth, and the hope you had to carry before there was anything there to prove that what you planted was going to grow. Life works the same way. We celebrate the destination, but sometimes we forget everything that helped us arrive there. So this week, instead of immediately asking, what's next? I'd like us to ask, what has already grown? When we hear the word abundance, we can picture something enormous, overflowing baskets, perfect garden, financial security. The dream home, some unmistakable sign that says, there, you've made it. But some of the richest seasons of our life don't look anything like that. Sometimes abundance is peaceful conversation, a family meal, a journal filled with honest words, a friendship that's stronger than it was a year ago, a home that feels welcoming, a boundary you finally learned to keep, more laughter, more patience, a little more peace. Those are harvests too. They may not fit inside a basket, but they nourish us just the same. Some of the most valuable things we gather can't be measured at all. How do you measure the comfort of a familiar routine? The joy of hearing someone you love laughing in the next room? How do you put a number on the quiet confidence that develops after you've made it through something difficult? Or the feeling of coming home after a long day and sitting in your own kitchen table? Or finally, learning that you're allowed to say no? These things count. In fact, I think sometimes they count more than the things we're very good at counting. Those are the harvests that change us. Not because anyone else noticed them, but because we do. If you've been journaling with me this summer, I want you to think about your journal for a moment. Every page you've written holds something: a joy, a lesson, a quiet victory, a moment of gratitude, maybe something painful that you finally found the words for, a memory you want to keep. Imagine opening that journal 5 years from now, 10 years from now. You're not going to see only ink on the paper. You're going to see evidence of life that was being lived. And think, that's one of the most beautiful gifts journaling gives us. It teaches us to notice that every ordinary day leaves something behind. One of my favorite things about late summer is the way home begins to change almost without trying. Maybe there's a bowl of tomatoes on the counter, fresh herbs in the kitchen, lemons ripening in a basket, or zucchini bread cooling on a rack. flowers gathered from outside. There are these little signs everywhere that something has been growing. Slowly, quietly, often while we were busy paying attention to something else. And maybe our hearts work that way too. Maybe kindness grows that way. Peace, contentment, hope. Perhaps these are all things we've been quietly cultivating. So this week, the gentle practice is going to be a journal spread. You can create a garden like I have, or decorate it your own way. But at the top, I'd like you to write my summer harvest. But I don't want this to become another accomplishment list. This isn't about how productive you were this summer. Instead, list your blessings, what you gathered. What did you gather? Who did you love? What habits became stronger? What moments do you want to remember? How did you grow? What simple joys did you collect along the way? Fill your basket with gratitude. And it doesn't have to be beautiful. It doesn't have to be elaborate. This isn't a performance. It's simply a record of what was here. If you'd like to spend a little longer with your journal this week, here are 5 questions to sit with. What has grown in my life this summer? What blessings have I almost overlooked? What quiet victory deserves celebrating? What has this season taught me? And what harvest do I hope to carry into autumn? You don't have to answer all 5. Maybe there's one question that immediately caught your attention. Start there. Harvest isn't only something we gather from gardens. Sometimes we harvest courage, sometimes peace, sometimes healing, sometimes hope. And perhaps those are the richest harvests of all. So, before you rush towards the next thing, look around, look back, notice what has grown, and give yourself a moment to be grateful for the harvest that is already here. May your heart recognize the abundance already surrounding you. May your table be filled with gratitude. May your home continue welcoming peace. May your journal remind you that beautiful lives are built slowly. May you celebrate not only where you're going, but how far you've already come. And whenever you need reminding, welcome home. There is beauty here. return to what matters. I'll see you next week.